Now let's talk about the culture wars, because this thing is brewing and it ain't stopping in the culture. Everyone's favorite author, JK Rowling, has been thrusted into the culture wars. JK Rowling wrote Harry Potter, correct?
Yeah,
A little too old for Harry Potter, but she has felt the brunt of what it means to stand for your beliefs. She's been canceled, I believe. I think they're calling for her arrest right now for just saying that a man is a man and a woman is a woman, and let's just kind of keep it like that. Here's the story with J.K. Rowling. J.K. Rowling dares cops to arrest her for misgendering trans people after a new woke hate crime law. Scotland's new hate crime law went into effect on Monday, that was earlier this week, banning hatred on the basis of age, disability, race, religion, sexual orientation, and trans identity. There it is. There it is. Trans identity. Cool. You shouldn't be hating on people on the age, disability, race, religion, sexual orientation. All good. But it's almost like, don't believe my lying eyes. When the dude with the beard who wants to be identified as a woman says she a woman, you just want me to comply? I have to fall in line? I don't know about that. Here's J.K. Rowling's response. I'm currently out of the country, but what if I've written here qualifies as an offense under the terms of the new act? I look forward to being arrested when I return to the birthplace of the Scottish Enlightenment. Erasing the concept of sex removes the ability of many to meaningfully discuss their lives. So J.K. Rowling, she ain't kidding. There's no J.K. with her. She stands by this. By the way, here's some celebrities, as well as J.K., to publicly oppose having to identify trans as they see fit, using the words that they are mandating. Dave Chappelle, famously, he said to the transgender community, I am more than willing to give you an audience, but you will not summon me. He said this when they summoned him to be spoken to, not spoken with, at one of their amazing meetups on the calendar. You're going to say something? Okay. Ricky Gervais, famous comedian who called out Hollywood. Be the gender that you feel you are, but meet me halfway. Ladies, lose the penis. Interesting thoughts by Ricky. Pierce Morgan, who's doing a great job these days. I don't support the ridiculous notion of 100 genders, and most sensible people agree with me. I would agree, as I think it was Jake Paul said, there's 3 genders. There's male, there's female, and then there's just the confused. Drake Bell, I think famous from, was it?
Drake and Josh.
Drake and Josh, that's your generation, bro. He said, sort of disrespectfully to Caitlyn Jenner, sorry, still calling you Bruce. To which the trans community, they have their say. They were celebrating, in of all cities, San Francisco, at Dolores Park on Transgender Day of Visibility, when most Christians were celebrating Easter. I believe we have some of the footage that they were doing on the Transgender Day of Visibility. Here's local coverage at Dolores Park with drag queens, disco balls, and pride flags on the Transgender Day of Visibility. Go ahead, Malik.
Celebration Sunday at San Francisco's Dolores Park, the day marking Transgender Day of Visibility, and by chance, this year also coinciding with Easter.
What a beautiful opportunity to cross-pollinate the worlds between religious experiences and so many queer people having really traumatizing religious experiences.
Transgender Day of Visibility started in 2009 and has been celebrated on March 31st since.
Without this day, it can make people feel invisible.
There he is.
And we just don't, we don't want that.
The face of
trans lives matter. They need to be seen, they need to be celebrated.
But backlash Sunday after President Joe Biden officially proclaimed the day, as he's done every year since taking office. This year, several Republicans taking aim at the president, including House Speaker Mike Johnson.
We talked earlier about the political ramifications for this. So, you know, meanwhile, you have people in church, you have families, you have kids, you have Easter eggs, you have Easter bunnies. And then you have those people. Those people have every right to be doing what they want and how they celebrate their Transgender Day of Visibility. But I think there's a very clear distinction between family, kids, Easter Bunny, and some of these people. I'll let you be the judge on that. Right now, we're talking societal change, societal perspective, culture wars, cultural rot, they may say. Here's some sports figures that had some very strong feelings on what's going on there. They say that politics is downstream from culture, that sports and music help shape culture. Well, I remember when in 2020, during the bubble, during the BLM riots, during George Floyd, the NBA bubble, NBA playoffs, my team, the Miami Heat, they went to the finals. That was the year that people were kneeling, people that were in the NFL, in the NBA. They had all the slogans. They had everything that was going on. There was one player who wouldn't, I guess, play into this, use a play on words. One player wouldn't play into it, to use a play on words. His name was Jonathan Isaac. And he's a 7-footer stud from the Orlando Magic. And he happens to be a black man. I don't know if you have a picture of him. Orlando's Jonathan Isaac scorns Biden over the Trans Visibility Day, and he walks back his statement an hour later. Let's break down this story. You got a picture of Jonathan Isaac?
1 second.
So, he's a follower of Christ. He's religious. He reads the Bible. He stands for what he believes. He's celebrating Easter, and he learns of the Transgender Day of Visibility. Jonathan Isaac, there he is right there. He scorned President Biden over arranging the Transgender Visibility Day to fall on Easter. But then he took his statement back shortly after finding out the holiday's been around since 2009. So here's the original tweet. They want you to hate, he says. We can punch in on that. This helps no one and only promotes division. There's that word again, division. They know exactly what they're doing. We should be angry, but we shouldn't lose the spirit of what tomorrow means. Don't lose focus, because he is risen and there is hope for all. So Jonathan Isaac, feeling emotional, getting his feelings get the best of him, religious, Christian, naturally upset, and I get it. But then he does his homework, he does his due diligence, and he comes to find out the following. And he tweets this an hour later. Show the tweet. And I actually respect this. In the name of fairness, Biden did recognize that the day last year when it didn't fall on Easter. That's important, and to me, releases the administration from the allegation of intentionality. Are they intentionally doing this? Instead of deleting the tweet like it never happened, this is my good faith retraction, LOL. Respect to you, Jonathan. I get it. He's upset. He's like, I'm celebrating Easter, but it's also Transgender Day of Visibility. Are you trolling me? Are you gaslighting me? Are you clowning me? Oh, wait. They've been doing this since 2009. All right. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. This isn't intentional, but it still doesn't sit well with me. So that's Jonathan Isaac, NBA player, right there. Then you got Megan Rapino, U.S. women's national team, soccer player. She's lesbian, and she stands by her community. Megan Rapino leads the cancel mob aimed at Christian player who posted detransition videos. So here she is attacking a Christian player. She singled out the U.S. women's national team player Corbin Albert for sharing a detransition video, saying the following: kids are literally killing themselves because of this hate, prompting Albert to issue a public Instagram apology, which she said, I want to sincerely apologize for my actions on social media. Liking and sharing posts that are offensive, insensitive, and hurtful was immature and disrespectful, which was never my intent. It's an honor and a privilege to get to play this sport on the world stage, and I promise to do better. So she's basically shaming a Christian athlete, teammate, into basically the views she wants her to uphold. By the way, little fun fact, studies suggest that suicide actually increases post-transition, meaning there's talk of people saying that not allowing kids to transition increases the likelihood that they're going to commit suicide. There are also polar opposite studies saying that suicides are actually increase after you transition. Basically, oh my God, what have I done? It's almost like you see the stories about when they're survivors of people who jump off bridges. They said the second that you jump, they regret it instantly. The survivors, not many survive. Interesting. I don't know. I'm not transitioning. I have no plans of transitioning. I don't have friends that have transitioned. But I know that there's a lot of mental health issues on this topic. I'll let the debate begin. But that's sports stars basically standing where they believe. Jonathan Isaac on one side, Megan Rapino on the other side. Do you have that video of the Marines?
Yeah.
I said earlier, let the men compete with the men. Let the women compete with the women. Don't have biological men competing with biological women. But the Marines did a little science project, biological project of what it would look like when a female Marine competes with a male Marine. You want to roll that video?
We see this female Marine against this male Marine and watch how it is a completely fair and equal battle. Do you see?
Yep.
See? Exact
We
same.
saw that. Didn't work out so well. Again, men, bigger, stronger, faster. Jonathan Isaac, 7-foot dude, sick athlete, NBA. If he competed in a sport against Megan Rapino, who's like 5 nothing, 100 nothing, how do you think that would work out? So sports isn't the only part of culture. Culture is also learning and school and family and the foundation and society. Here's some stories that are very troubling. Here's a story about kindergartners learning things that kindergartners or basically anyone in elementary should ever be learning about. So the story starts with, "This is my vulva." And a kindergarten curriculum teaches 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds about HIV, AIDS, and gender identity. So in New York City, we talked about New York earlier, Kathy Hochul, Eric Adams, Bill de Blasio. New York City's public school curriculum is introducing children as young as 4 years old to topics like STDs, HIV transmission, and gender identity and AIDS. Why would a 4-year-old have to know about any of this stuff? Any of it. The material includes a picture book that says the following: "These are my eyes, this is my nose, this is my vulva, these are my toes." And these books are aimed at kindergartners. What the actual hell is going on here? Here's a quote from the book: "Some girls have vulvas and some girls don't, and some boys have a penis, but not all boys do." Yeah, kind of all boys have that.
That's what makes them a boy.
That's
right?
what?
Isn't that what makes a boy and a girl a girl?
Listen, there's rules and there's exceptions, and people will always point to the exception of, "I know one kid, this one time this happened." But the reality is, yes, boys have penises, girls have vaginas, vulvas. Weird what's going on. Not in my day. Not up in here. So that's going from the kids. Now let's talk about the grandparents. Here's an even weirder story potentially. Here's a report where a grandpa is now breastfeeding a baby after taking experimental transgender hormone drugs. You can scroll down, you can probably see a picture of grandpa over here, AKA grandma, AKA tranny granny. Duke University experimented hormone drugs included inducing lactation in a 50-year-old trans man. There they are, enabling him/her to produce up to 30 milliliters of milk after a 4-week treatment, with the man feeding his grandchild without apparent adverse effects. What the fuck?
Yeah, that's so weird. Like, nobody's going to question the fact that, first off, this, like, he's not supposed to lactate, and he is. And he probably has to have some sort of chemical to force him to do that. So now you're, like, dealing with, like, tainted chemical-filled milk on top of the fact that the milk shouldn't be coming from an old man in the first place.
It's going to come out as, like, powdered, dried-up milk. I don't know. Here's the statement. He states that she has a special bond with this baby for which he is grateful.
This is
sick. They're using he and she in quotes. I don't know. He/she regrets that he/she had not known about the possibility sooner and wished that the other transgender woman could know that the breastfeeding a baby can be a reality. Previous global experiments involving transgender women lactating used drugs causing irregular heartbeat in infants. Got a question for you. Doesn't take a scientist to answer this. Isn't it usually the mom that's breastfeeding the baby?
Yeah, that's the purpose of the mom.
The grandma?
Yeah, that's...
Much less the grandpa? Okay, I get it. If you're the mom, or you're even the trans mom, that's one thing. But this is the tranny granny breastfeeding the kid?
I'm grossed out just by thinking about this. Like, okay, old man breastfeeding.
There's a clip from Family Guy when Stewie is breastfeeding, and it should have been Lois, but it ended up being Peter Griffin, if memory serves me right. And the shock and horror on young Stewie's face when he finds out that he's sucking on one big hairy nipple sent all hell loose, reverberating throughout this young toddler's body. Is this it right here?
Yeah, we can't play the video, though.
We can't play the video? Can you show the image? Anyway, that's Lois Griffin's not nipple. It's Peter Griffin's nipple. But Peter's at least the parent. We're talking about the grandparent breastfeeding. Malik, I just have one question. What is going on around here?
A charade, and that's going too far at this point. Like, this is what happens when you don't have somebody in here to say, like, hey, this is just weird. Like, we every day we go further and further on the fine line of like the line between weird and not weird is like getting finer and finer. And like you have to have that. Something has to be weird, and it's okay for it to be weird, and it's also okay for it to not be acceptable. And everybody's just like, fuck it, let's make everything acceptable.
So there's Ben Shapiro was talking about this the other day with our friend Dave Rubin that was on the show. And he talks about the Overton window. And the Overton window basically is what's acceptable from a policy standpoint to be discussed and introduced in society. You can probably pull up a picture. And the wider or shorter that the Overton window goes, the more or less that is acceptable. So there it is right there. So within the Overton window, there's terms like popular, which leads to policy, there's sensibilities, there's acceptance, but on the fringe elements, you have radical and unthinkable ideas that are so not within the Overton window. So the closer you get to the middle, you have policy, popularity, sensibility, acceptance, but then on the far spectrum, far ends, you have radical and completely unthinkable. Where we're at right now in this Overton window leads a lot to be discussed. Very weird.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. If you like that one, click right here to watch the full SOSCAST. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel.